Welcome to the 20-Minute Mentors podcast. Recorded at Clanfai Perth Wing Ed Kun Welling King Droth Kun Lands and Go Yasili Go Go Go. Here's your hosts.
Hello and welcome back to the show. This is Mike and I'm joined here by Matt. Guess it's your turn to say present now.
Yeah, you normally say present here, don't you? Present.
The weird thing is, back when I was still in primary school, that's almost always how we start our classes. Like the teacher doing a roll call and everyone just says present.
See, we used to do the same thing. It was like an electronic book they'd have. I guess it was like a spreadsheet, really. And then go through and check who was there. But we used to just shout here. So it'd be like, Mad, here. And it's the good thing about having a surname which ends in A is that I was always first.
Oh, yeah.
So the minute I saw that register up and I was like, right, I know I'm just going to shout here and I'm done. And we can move on. You don't have to pay any attention.
Yeah, I guess that's one of the cultural differences. Because even in the way you guys conduct things in your government, here, I, nay.
The eyes have it. We went political really fast there.
Yeah, I'm not going to include that though. All right. So today we're going to be adding more onto the topic of productivity and time management. In the previous episode, Matt shared about GTD, or getting things done, which is getting the foundation of collating everything that you have for the specific work day or work week. So gathering all the communications, all the tasks that you need to do, and then organizing it in a way that is structured based on the GTD framework. So in this episode, I'm going to share about how I do things. So this is more commonly known as the Eisenhower Matrix or the urgent important matrix. And fun fact, though, while I was researching more about the topic, I've always known that it was called the Eisenhower Matrix, but I didn't really know that it wasn't actually Eisenhower who developed the task management framework. So I've just come to know that it was actually Stephen Covey, the author of The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, who actually developed the task management tool or framework, but he based it on a statement that President Dwight Eisenhower of the United States of America said, which is, quote unquote, I have two kinds of problems, the urgent and the important. The urgent are not important, and the important are never urgent. So that single sentence there basically encapsulates the entire framework of this task management or prioritization technique, which is dividing or identifying your tasks for the specific time frame, whether it be a single work day or a work week, into tasks that are either urgent or important. So, Matt, it's my time to ask you this question now. So, have you ever encountered or are you familiar with the term or the framework?
The terms, definitely. So I've come across the important, urgent before. Is that the right terms? Yeah, that was right terms, wasn't it? Yeah. Sorry, I got too distracted by my
Yeah, I drank water.
Oh, God. Right. Yeah, I'm aware of the terms, the urgent and important. But I think we discussed this big off call. I've never known that to be known as the Eisenhower Matrix before. Like, I've always just known it as like important and urgency. So I'm really interested here to learn, like, actually what the Eisenhower Matrix does and how to use it, because it's, like I said, it's something I've never come across. It's always been it's important, it's urgent, and that's about as much as I know about the Eisenhower Matrix.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I guess if you really dumb down the concept, it basically just boils down into you as an individual being able to identify what's important and what's urgent to you, And but yeah, that's basically the gist of it. um, Identifying, differentiating between the tasks. But in order to go into specifics, the matrix is composed into four different quadrants. So as we've already mentioned, those are the not important tasks, the important tasks, the urgent, and the not urgent. So what you're going to do here is, if you want to use this technique, is to just basically draw a cross or a box, then divide it into four equal sides, then label the top ones as either the important side, and the one on either left or right as urgent or not urgent. It's up to you as to how you're going to design your matrix. And basically what you're going to do is, as what you've shared on the previous episode, the GTD, is you also do need to capture all of your tasks, all the things that you need to do, all the things that you need to communicate with to someone or whoever, and basically prioritize them based on their importance and their urgency. Okay, so with this tool, you don't necessarily need to have a specific software or a platform that you can employ this to. You just need to have maybe a pen and a paper, or maybe you can use Microsoft Paint or whatever software that's available to you, where you can freely jot down the things that you needed to do. So, going back, first step in this technique is to identify the tasks that you have for the day. And afterwards, you then put them into the specific quadrant that you think that specific task is going to fit into. So let's say, for example, your role is on data entry. So you're going to need to have to collate all the things or information that you're going to put into, and then rank them based on what profile or what client or whoever is important. And next is rank them based on their urgency. So who are the clients, what are the information that is going to be needed within the next few hours, and so on and so forth. So basically, the urgent tasks, those are the things that require immediate attention. So it's something that must be done now, and there are going to be consequences if you don't complete the tasks within the specific time frame. So these are basically tasks that you can't avoid, and the longer that you delay these tasks, the more stress you're likely going to experience, and which eventually can lead to burnout. As opposed to the important tasks, these may not require your immediate attention, but these tasks help you achieve something long term. And because these tasks are not urgent, or maybe they are, you'll need to thoughtfully plan for these tasks so you can use your time and effort efficiently.
I've got a question.
Mhm.
How do you define what is urgent? Does that come from you or from like the business that give you the task?
In my opinion, it depends on what kind of role that you have. So if, I mean, obviously for you, since you're the one calling the shots, you definitely have a better overview of what the things are needed more urgently. Especially goes for product managers, where you kind of orchestrate all of the things that needs to be done. So yeah, that would be my answer. Depends on the role and the capacity that you have. But on the individual level, you may be, I mean, there may be instances where you are assigned multiple tasks by the one who determines it. So maybe the thing that you need to sort out as an individual is which one is fitted to be done first. So yeah, it kind of goes both ways. So it depends on who's the task giver and who's the task doer, I would say. Yeah.
No, that makes sense. Okay. I'm just trying to think. So I'm trying to picture, I kind of drew it out as you were talking about it. So I drew out the square.
Mhm.
And then I put in some of the tasks that I've been doing today. So I see how it works there because you've got the what's urgent, what's important. I can kind of work that out. I guess the other question I've got on this approach is, do I continuously add new items to the list, or does that provide a daily or weekly snapshot? How does that, what's the best time frame to use this over?
Mhm. Okay, so that's the thing with these types of frameworks. So similar to the GTD, there's no set rule as to what you need to do in order to implement it. So it basically boils down to you as the individual, whether, let's say, the number of tasks that you have for the day or the week. So it's up to you as to how you're going to set it up. For my case, personally, what I do is I list all of the tasks down, but I don't necessarily put them into a matrix as what I have just described. Yeah, talk about hypocrisy, right? But what I do instead is I list them down into rows, then I label them differently, but still employing the same concept though of organizing stuff based on their importance and their urgency. So personally, well, what I do is I label stuff based on their importance with letters. So that could be A, B, C, D, or X, Y, Z. What's the letter before X? But yeah, you get the idea there. So basically, just label them accordingly. And I also use numbers to rank my tasks based on their urgency. So one being the most urgent. So that could also mean that one is the thing or the task that I need to do first, and then it goes down into priority. So this way, I don't need to have a tool or maybe a blank paper where I draw out the tasks in a square divided into four. So I can just have it on, let's say, a notebook or a spreadsheet, then label and arrange them based on urgency and importance by labeling them with numbers and letters. So let's say my first task is to create a ticket on Jira. So I would label that as A1. Then the other tickets, let's say the ones that are not so important or not so urgent, I'd probably put them C3 or C2. So it's up to you as to how you're going to design the way that you do things, but basically still revolves around the concept of dividing tasks or dividing your workload into urgency and importance. So that's basically just the whole concept around this is being able to identify what is urgent, what is important, what is not urgent, and what is not important as well. And
Mm.
um, having this concept in mind as well, it gives you a different perspective into how you deal with things even outside of your workplace. So let's say in your personal life, you're having a dilemma of as to what you're going to need to do for the day, especially, having different things going on around. So having this concept in mind, you are easily able to prioritize even if it's not outside of work. So it's a really handy concept to have or to live by, if I were to say.
And what's have you? I guess because Eisenhower's new to me. So have you come across any software that was being that's used it before? I know you mentioned earlier you can kind of do it on a notepad or do it in Paint, but is there a tool that you've come across in the past that experienced this with that's worked well, or have you found it works best on a notepad or in Notes or something like that?
I'm pretty sure that there are platforms or tools that you can use for this. I know Asana has one, although I haven't used it, but I've seen it around. And maybe you can even devise like a bulletin board or a little board beside you as well if you want to do things old school. So kind of do like something like a Kanban board with different swim lanes, because it's pretty much
Ooh.
the same concept. I guess maybe Monday.com also has similar features. And to be honest, yeah, I can't really recommend a specific tool because I do this the old school way. But yeah, there are definitely tools where you can use the Eisenhower matrix or the important urgent matrix. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. I was trying to think 'cause I'm sure I've used. It might be casting your mind back a little bit, but do you remember we used to do retros? And thinking maybe doing something like that, where it had maybe like a living board. So for those who maybe aren't in the same industry as Michael and I were, at the end of a development iteration or a development sprint, we would have what they call a retro, and that would be a retrospective. It'd be a chance for the team to look back on what they think went well and what went well and what didn't go quite so well. And you'd capture those things in a sticky note. As you were talking through the Eisenhower Matrix, there it was just the tool that we used for that, which I think was Miro. Um,
Yeah, right. Miro, yeah.
yeah, really kind of jumped out to me as actually could be quite a good tool for this, as in you can draw out your boxes, You can create your tasks as notes or sticky notes or as text boxes, and you can kind of move them and place them on the quadrants that make sense. Yeah, I was kind of trying to visualize how I would do this while looking at my notepad of how I could make this sort of shareable and in a place that actually, if you were to ask, what am I doing today or what have I been up to, then I could basically share something digital with you and go, this is what I've been working on.
Yeah, definitely good insights. And it also ties into one of the quadrants that you can probably come up with. So these are maybe the not important tasks but are urgent. So maybe you're swamped with work, you're working on the important and urgent tasks. So as you've briefly mentioned, if you have like a collaborative space where you can just draw out or put in all of the tasks in maybe sticky note forms or whatever, where you can drag and drop things, that could also be a good place to, let's say, delegate the tasks or use it to share to your team. And okay, these are the things that are urgent but I don't have the time to do it, or these are things that you can do without my supervision. So yeah, definitely you can use that
Mm.
collaborative tool to delegate the tasks as well using the Eisenhower Matrix. It's a
Yeah.
really very broad concept which can be applied in multiple different ways. You just have to be disciplined around, setting it up, because just like the concept that you shared, a GTD, it does take some time to set it up, and it definitely involves discipline as well into creating that habit of sitting down or using the first 15 to 20 minutes of your workday to sort things out.
Yeah, it's. I think a lot of these frameworks have that upfront work to kind of get them in place, though, don't they? Like even with GTD, there's a little bit of getting it all set up and making sure that your processes are in place. The same applies here of setting up your quadrants and kind of going through your work and sorting it by that priority. So I think, but I think with all things, I think maybe you mentioned on the last episode, with all things that are beneficial, there's going to be a bit of work involved to get them set up in the first place.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, nothing good in life ever comes for free, right? You always have to put in work in order to achieve it. So, and going back to the point that we mentioned earlier about, who gets to decide whether what tasks are important or urgent, it boils down to the specific role that you have as well. Because I'm thinking, going back to my experience as a customer service representative, there won't really be too much of an application for this matrix because you're doing grind work every day. So you answer phone calls, you answer emails, and you'd have it in random order, right? So first come, first serve basis. But yeah, having once again just having the concept in mind, and try to practice it wherever it may be applicable will definitely help you, as you move along the career ladder.
Yeah, and I think there's definitely some crossovers here, as you mentioned, between the GTD method of, you know, what work have I got, what's important, and then the Eisenhower method of, I know what I'm planning to do today, tomorrow, and next week in GTD, and then this is what's important and urgent for today in Eisenhower. So there's definitely crossover between the two frameworks too, which is quite cool.
Mhm. And yeah, and that's the thing about these concepts or frameworks is they have commonalities between each of them. So if I were to draw the lines between GTD and the Eisenhower Matrix, so you've definitely captured your ideas, you've definitely clarified them, and this very much plays well with the organize phase for the GTD. So I guess these concepts were developed with the other concepts in mind as well. So it's basically just improving one framework and using the foundations to maybe develop a better one, or a framework that applies specifically to that role or to that group of people who needs to do stuff their own way. So I guess the purpose that we have here is to try to share as much concepts that we have in order for our listeners to maybe just draw the important bits of each of these concepts and try to maybe formulate their own. And who knows, we might be on our way to, developing a specific framework for us as well. And who knows, we might be more popular because of that, I guess.
I think what president should we name it after?
Oh, we're definitely not naming them after presidents. We definitely have to name them from ourselves, because I was also thinking of doing another episode within this series of maybe productivity episodes. So I have this technique in mind as well, the Pomodoro technique, which actually blends in with the GTD, the Eisenhower, and I would say if we were to use the engage stage of the GTD, the Pomodoro technique fits in very well. So I'm not going to talk in detail about the Pomodoro technique. I will reserve that for another episode. But yeah, bottom line, there's definitely a lot of crossovers between these different frameworks or concepts. And it's basically up to you, the individual, to take the good bits out of it and use it however it fits your lifestyle or your work style.
Couldn't agree more. I think, in a lot of the roles that I've worked in the past, there is a kind of a unified way of working, which is called agile. And a lot of the companies I go to will say, we don't really work agile. We kind of do our own thing. We take the bits that work for us. And I think that, exactly as you said, that should be applied here. Take the bits that we spoke about getting things done, about the Eisenhower Matrix, and that we will speak about with Pomodoro, and just take the bits that work for you. Actually, if you find the Eisenhower Matrix works, but you like the idea of the structure of getting things done, then apply those two parts together. If the Pomodoro and the Eisenhower work, so it's really taking the elements away, as Michael said, that work for you in your role and apply those. Nothing that is fully by the book or rigid ever really works successfully, in my opinion. So yeah, taking the techniques and approaches and applying those to how your work balance is, I think, is one of the best ways to do it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And yeah, looking at the timer, yes, we're still within
Ooh.
the 20-minute mark. So yeah, with that, we are going to end it here. And as always, if you guys have any comments, suggestions, or anything to add at all, maybe the tool that Matt asked earlier, if you have something in mind, feel free to share it to the rest of the community. And yeah, Matt, any last words?
No, I've enjoyed this one. I've been taking notes all the way through. So this is it's been a new one for me to learn about something I didn't know before. So really enjoyed it. Really good.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I hope you guys learned a thing or two as well. And goodbye. We'll see you in the next episode.
Catch you later.